then we will check on the seedlings that we've planted. Generally, discussing the seedlings that we planted over the last weeks. Yeah, so let's get started. We'll do that later, but until then, we will sow out a little bit more. Brought me new soil. Okay. Want to sow out a few more containers today, not many, because we will also check our seedlings that we planted. These have been under the lamp for maybe 4 weeks, maybe not much longer. Yeah. A few ones have been added just recently. They are a little bit younger. They've just come up and under the lamp. Everything looks pretty good already. It really makes a difference to have a good plant lamp that you can use for this kind of stuff, for sowing out. So yeah, I love it. So this is the graveyard soil, cemetery soil that I've discussed in the other videos. It is a soil that is hard to be overgrown. A lot of like moss and that kind of stuff can't really grow very well into this kind of soil. But yeah, we'll be sowing out a little bit, then we will check the seedlings. Yeah, and I'm taking questions. Okay. Yeah, these are just standard square pots. Few, I don't know, 9 centimeter or something like that is the diameter. 7 x 7. That's the dimensions of the square pots that I'm using. Yeah, and I will continue with the live stream in the next days. I'm not sure how long we will do this daily, but probably for quite some time, for as long as I enjoy it. And right now it's fun, having some kind of, you know, a mission every day, getting up, doing the live stream. It's really nice. I like it. Maybe I'm getting me a microphone to improve the sound quality. And I'm always just adding as much soil as I need on that day, not more, because otherwise we end up with a contaminated soil pretty fast. And yeah, that's not good, because the moment you close the container, you cannot really take the seedlings out without having a lot of problems. You can theoretically replant little seedlings that need to be transplanted, but it's not so easy. They are tiny, the roots are tiny, and that can cause problems when you transplant them into new pots. It works, you can do it, but it's not something that I would recommend unless you have unless you really have to, you know. Okay, so let's put these aside. Later, when there are more people in the chat, we will check on those. I want to discuss everything. Okay, so here are more seeds that I want to sow out. We're really making progress with the seeds. Pretty happy about that. I mean, these will grow pretty fast, and we will end up having more seedlings than we can keep very fast. So yeah, but at this point there's still space under the lamp, and we will fill it up. Okay, so this is empty. This is a Wurlitz hybrid, Wurlitz Legon. Yeah, okay. I really want to sow out more of the Uwe Kahle hybrids because they are so good. It's just the type of stuff that I need to plan out. If you have questions, write them in the Q&A, in the chat. I'm happy with that. If not, we're just doing the sowing out stuff that I'm doing right now. Like, it's just part of winter to sow out. It's part of my yearly routine. I love sowing out in winter. It's the type of stuff when nothing happens for a cactus breeder. Sowing out is always great. So yeah, let's get started here. Yeah, and I got a lot of comments yesterday. A lot of people that come on. We're just spending some time over the winter, and I enjoy that. That is great. So yeah. Okay, so this is a cross from 2024 by Uwe Kahle, 2024-28. Banku crossed with Bamboy. That's an amazing cross. I don't know the mother, but it says colorful about the flower of the mother. That Banku. I would love to see a photo of that. Maybe I will ask Uwe about it because he always sends out these amazing seeds, and I've never seen the flower, so it's sometimes you just gotta sow them out and trust in the breeder because Uwe Kahle is one of the best. So I would just sow them out without having seen the flower. But yeah. So this morning, I started watching True Detective again. I've seen that show 100 times, but every time it gives me something new. It's such a fantastic first season of television. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the best seasons of television ever. Like Matthew McConaughey and then Woody Harrelson, they are just great in that show. I was blown away. So every now and then I just watch True Detective again. Just the first season. Second season isn't so bad either. I mean, after the years, I kind of have more fun with it. So yeah, let's continue here. So Banku crossed with Bamboy. Hey Kami, what's up? Kami is complaining about something. It's really tough. I mean, like yesterday, I had a day when I wasn't really doing so well, where I just had to take a step back to recover. But Kami always needs something. As an older cat that she is, there's always something she needs, and it's pretty exhausting. I try to do everything I can, but some days are just tough. You can never take a lot of time to just recover. You can't, let's say, just sleep a few hours longer because every day has to have the same rhythm or there are problems. So yeah, try to, I don't know, take it a little slower yesterday, but it wasn't possible. So yeah, but it's just part of life. Okay, so I want to sow out the others too. This is a really good cross, and I need to sow it out. Okay. I really want to make use of the Uwe Kahle seeds that I have here. I mean, I sometimes post post videos of the flowers of Uwe's hybrids, and the best ones you haven't even seen yet. It's a great breeder. I don't show like photos that he sends me because they are his photos, but the guy has made some insane crosses in the last years, and you know, he's at a point like he's already a little bit older, a classic, one of these classic old school breeders, and he might not do it for much longer, you know. Last year he already was pretty close to retiring, and that would be an insane loss to the community, to the whole scene, because of every year he pushes he pushes for progress. There are new great crosses like Bamboy. It has now gotten to the point where there are follow-up hybrids of Bamboy. They pretty much replaced the classic Wörlitz Cantora hybrids for him. And yeah, that is just insane. That is a really good breeder. So I will sow them out no matter if I have space or not. I will make space if necessary. And yeah, you can see there are already a lot of containers that we have with his stuff. That is just great. I just hope we can get them all to flower. So yeah, this is also KA24 28 Banku crossed with Bamboy, and I do not know the mother. If you know the mother, let me know, because I have no idea how it looks like. But I would plant it even if I have no idea how a plant looks like. In this case, I do, because I completely trust the breeder to have like the kind of experience. Everything that I got from Uwe is great. Okay, so these are empty now. We'll put this aside. Here's seeds with Bamboy as mother. We need to sow them out. Bamboy is just so amazing. This is the kind of stuff, I mean, if you look up the flower of Bamboy, it is insane. It is huge. I really need to make space in the collection next year to make up for that. I don't know how, but it needs to happen. So, and I want to split these up over 2 containers too. Okay. Yeah, best to split it up. This is a great cross. When you have a great cross, it makes sense to split it over 2 containers, because otherwise you are at risk of losing everything if you lose one. Sometimes there's always something that can happen with these sowing out containers. If you move it outside and a slug just goes crazy over the seedlings, you can lose it all. And that's why I try to split it up. It needs more space, but you would have to single them out anyways, you know, at some point. So yeah, yesterday I spent half the day reading fan arguments about Doctor Who, about that show, that British show Doctor Who. I don't watch it, but I was fascinated by like all the different opinions that the fans had. Like the newer show, I think Disney has bought the franchise recently, and yeah, they seem to not know what to do with it. So fans were fairly upset, and I just found that fascinating. fascinating to just read the comments, to read all the different arguments that people made why the show is bad. So this is KA23 206. 206. Bumboy. Crossed with KA 11 1655. Okay. Putting this in. I would love to like get my fix that pencil here, but it isn't possible somehow. I don't know. KA 23 206 again. This is the second one. Bumboy crossed with KA 11 165 and 5. And we will really try to get these to adulthood. That will be our mission on the channel. We will try to do this like the whole year and see how it goes next year. Okay. This is a really good cross. If you want to make sure, you can also add a disinfectant to the containers, to the water that you're putting in when you're watering them. It really helps, but it's not absolutely necessary. So this time we're doing it without. We just gotta make sure that we do not lose them, like that there's no fungal infections. When you put in a disinfectant like a fungicide, it can sometimes help a little, but it is not absolutely necessary. We can work without a fungicide. When I'm sowing out, you know, it's not sterile anyway. You're working with closed containers, but the moment you put in the seeds, you would already contaminate the sterile medium that you have there, and a lot of the pathogens come in with the seeds. So it makes no sense to work fully, to attempt to work fully sterile. That is just an illusion. A lot of people do stuff like pasteurize the soil using a disinfectant, and of course that can help you, but it's not something. I don't try to grow cacti in like in an almost sterile medium. It's just too much. It's unnecessary. They will have to face all these problems anyway. You just have to make sure that you are not creating an environment that promotes fungal infections and bacteria. You just have to work clean, get a clean soil, and then clean seeds, cleaning the seeds very well, and that can help you to reduce problems when you're sowing out. It's not really something that where it fully gets you through the problems when you're working in a sterile medium. It is so much work. It takes so much time to get a soil fully sterile. I don't think it makes sense to do that unless you're growing something else, you know. For cacti, a lot of people use living soil, that kind of natural way of growing plants, and we try to do the same here. Okay, so next one. What's this? Kinky. Okay, we will plant this one. This is another hybrid where I have no idea how it looks like. Kin Tampo crossed with Kinky. Another Uwe Kala hybrid. Or is it Kud Tampo? I don't know. but we sow it out just in case. But yeah, and if you have general questions, write them in the chat. I will check it out every now and then. If I don't see it right away, I will get back to it later. But this is what we're sowing out here is the type of quality. If you would put them up for sale, you would get like $100 for a plant. We're not doing that because we're not in it for the money, but it's really good quality kind of crosses that we're sowing out now. We have really reached a point where everything we sow out has the potential to be great, and that is good. You always gotta improve as a breeder. Always gotta like sort stuff out. I had a chat about this with Uwe, and because I was curious about how many plants he sorts out, and he mentioned that he sorts out like most of the new flowers every year. So that must be hundreds of plants that are sorted out every year. In my collection this year, I probably sorted out a good greenhouse, a greenhouse full of plants in just 1 year that are excess, that you can't keep because you have other plants that have a similar flower. Okay. So let's write the label. And I really need to get better labels. These are just too small. It is too hard to write on them. Feel like no matter what, being it labels or the square pots, the quality of everything has gone down and the prices have gone up. Okay, so this is KA2395. Kutampo, I think is the name, but I need to ask. Yeah, by the way, seems like we got a stalker on the channel. Hey Dave, good morning. So yeah, I was just saying, like, seems like we got a stalker on the channel. Like in the last 2 days, every day I find new comments that are like, just negative, just hate, hate someone who just tries to be noticed, tries to, just put others down. And yeah, just wanted to say I will, for the future, I would just filter that kind of stuff out. But I want you guys to know that when you're doing live stream, or when you are doing, like, when you're out in public, just doing anything you like, you will always attract the few stalkers here and there, the few crazy ones, and it's just part of the game. Unfortunately, I have gotten used to it. In my life, I think I had 4 or 5 stalkers already. I mean, I've been doing this for a good 20 years now, and it just happens. It's part of the game. A good rule of thumb is to just ignore them, because, I mean, you can't change these guys' opinion anyway. They are not doing it because of anything you do. They are lacking something themselves. It takes a special kind of person to just look at an account posting flowers and feel like, oh my God, I need to try to, I don't know, post bad stuff about them. It's just, it takes a special kind of person to do that. And these kinds of people, they usually, you can't reason with them. It is not something that you can discuss, where you can really change someone's opinion. They will hate on you no matter what. They will hate on you if you are doing good, especially when you're doing good. So it's just part of the game, unfortunately. I'm used to it. It's not something where I even think about it today. Like, we just filter it out for the future. If the guy really wants to invest so much time to continue to create new accounts, okay, I don't care. It's really not something that people should like waste time with. So yeah, but unfortunately, it is also part of being someone who people know. You know, being out there, being yourself, standing up for yourself, attracts others that don't like it. And the only way you could avoid it is not going online, not doing anything, and that is not a solution. You know, you just have to stick to your game, continue. At some point, it's just a waste of time. You know, I mean, and they realize it too. It makes no sense to argue. It makes no sense to debate. If there would be really good arguments, I would hear them, but that hasn't happened ever. It's just someone seeing what you do, and what I'm doing. It's not really. It's a lot of hard work. It's a hard kind of thing to do. You need to invest so much time and energy to care for the plants. It's not something that pays a lot of money. It's not something where you like an influencer on Instagram. You know, they post stuff about like advertising, makeup products, that kind of stuff. What we're doing here is something different. You know, so unfortunately, you have all of this kind of negative attention, but none of the famous money and all that. So yeah, it's just how it is. So but yeah, it will always happen. My recommendation about this kind of stuff: ignore it, move forward. Because I mean, they will still, after making the comments, they will still be in their life where they are unhappy with everything. There must be something wrong, because otherwise they wouldn't try to look for fault in other people. You know, it's so easy to avoid a creator these days. Just go to another channel. There are a million pages out there, and the fact when people don't do it, it speaks so much that something in their life must be lacking. So yeah, I don't mind. It also, like I said yesterday, it also means that I'm seen, that I attract the odd account here and there. Okay. So this is a cross between a hybrid called Elmina and Rosa California. So one of my own crosses from the last season. The flower was pretty good. Orange kind of flower. I really liked it. Okay. And later we will go through the containers here that we have here. These are the containers from the last weeks. I brought them here to the table so I don't have to like get up and get them all the time. We will check those, just making sure everything is going according to plan. I recommend checking your containers on a regular basis. It's just something that that helps you to avoid a total loss if there is a problem, and there can always be problems. Problems are just part of life. We never run out of problems in our lives, so check every bag on a regular basis. Maybe once a week is enough. If you really want to do it right, do it daily, but it's a lot of work. When you are sowing out so many, very often I do it in the evening, shortly before bedtime, just making sure that we're not having a fungal infection in one of these bags. Okay. So here's another hybrid by Uwe, another cross, planting that too. I should probably plant more of my own crosses too. But it's just, it would be criminal not to sow these out. So yeah, later today I will continue watching True Detective. That first season, I really, I can only say it over and over again. That is such a perfect show. The casting is great. The direction was awesome. It's not. In my opinion, True Detective Season 1 is one of the best seasons of television ever. I haven't seen a lot that is like it. And I would have loved to watch something similar. But so far, I haven't found it. Like something that has this kind of occult vibe to it, but combines it with true crime. Something like I really like that. The second season was pretty weak. Third season I liked again. The main cast was so great. And yeah, fourth season I found very weak. The Jodie Foster season, I really liked Jodie Foster. It was great seeing her in another show. But the ending of season 4 was so bad. I don't know. But there were still some parts that were okay. So maybe I will rewatch that season one day, but for now, I would just rewatch the first season because the first season is so good. Okay, so I decided that in the future we might invite other creators, other people into the videos. So I will work on something where we like do a screencast where multiple people are in the daily stream. So that I feel like that could be great, you know. Every now and then maybe I'll ask around the other people who are known in the community. Would be great to have a common chat where you can just have a conversation every now and then, you know. But I intend to fully use the streaming feature. Okay, so this is KA11 112 7 crossed with Bumboy. Everything with Bumboy I'm sewing out. I don't care. It is just so good. I still have people that ask me about cuttings. Where I posted a photo like 6 months ago. And the same happened with Amun-Re. I'm getting every couple of weeks I'm getting messages by people asking if I can give them a cutting of Amun-Re. But I have retired as a propagator. I'm not propagating anymore. I propagated enough of Amun-Re. I propagated more of Amun-Re than probably all other people combined, maybe aside from Eberhard Kahler. And nobody repaid the favor and gave them away for free later. I haven't seen it. So yeah, I'm done propagating stuff that disappears in a collection and is never seen again. I leave that to the next generation now. Okay, so now we've sewn out our 2, 4, 6, 7 containers today. Now I want to check on the other ones. I will show you everything every time. So here, the seedlings already have spines, and that is something that comes out from the lamp. The plant lamp just promotes spine growth because the seedlings try to shield themselves from the sun. So they produce stronger spines. Everything looking great here. We can keep these closed for like 6 months if necessary. We will keep them in the house for as long as possible. I just don't want to lose them again. I've had so many crosses that were amazing, and then I lost track of them, and they were gone. Never seen them again. Okay, this is a cross of my own. Yeah, also here. Nice how spiny the seedlings are. I'm not sure if the camera can show it pretty well, but they already have the first set of spines, and they are pretty strong already. The stronger the lamp, The more spiny the seedlings are, the spinier the seedlings are. But there's a limit. If the lamp is too strong, you will notice that your seedlings become smaller and smaller, become spinier and spinier until there's only spines left, and you lose the seedling. Okay. So here, this is one of the newer ones that just came up. Tiny seedlings. These are just maybe a week old. I have moved these under the lamp in one of the last videos, and they already look great. If you have everything right in the bag, if the soil is right, if there's enough nutrients in the soil, you don't need to do much. You just put them under the lamp, make sure there's no problems, and then you check them again a week later. Same here. Putting them under the lamp really helps. You can see how suddenly everything starts growing, and that is great. A good grow lamp, something that I really recommend. Doesn't have to cost a lot of electricity. Today, the newest generation of indoor plant lamps has come a long way. I still remember a time when the plant lamps were completely unusable, and that has changed over the years. I still remember when I wrote my first when I wrote my ebook, I started writing about the fact that a lot of plant lamps are not good enough to grow cacti indoors. I really think this at some point will be a thing of the past. I'm sure the plant lamps will continuously improve, continuously be able to work with less and less electricity. And yeah, at some point you just manage to you might be able to grow healthy cacti indoors, not just seedlings, but large ones too. Here's a seedling that looks a little bit transparent, like it might have had a heat kind of loss, heat damage, but I'm not sure. In this light, let me see the light here. Yeah, it doesn't look healthy. The roots look a little bit orange, and that is often a sign that something's off. I think we're taking this seedling out just to make sure that there's no fungal infection coming up in the container. Yeah, I removed the seedling. It wasn't absolutely necessary. It might have made it, but it's better to just move out the weaker ones when you feel like you might lose them. Best to take them out yourself, because if they at some point expire and you don't have it on your radar, it can turn ugly pretty fast. So here, everything looks healthy. They also have the first set of spines. Humidity is a little bit on the drier side, but I don't want to water it already. If everything goes great, I wait with the watering until the soil is really dry. Since they are in closed containers, nothing can happen really. I mean, at some point, when you have seedlings in a closed bag and the soil is too dry, at some point you will lose seedlings, but it takes a very long time because the humidity of the closed bag already brings in so much some like morning mist, like morning dew, that kind of humidity that you just have by having them in a closed bag. So not necessary. Here's a container where one of the seedlings was lying on the ground. So I'm using a pencil and reposition it to get it back up. Because once you have a seedling that is lying around, that has fallen over, it makes no sense to let it there, because at some point you will lose it. These are just not made to lie around on the floor. In nature, of course, that happens too, but in nature, there's an incredibly high rate of loss. It takes thousands of seedlings in nature for one adult plant that just reaches adulthood in the habitats in the wild. So we can do stuff that the wild seedlings are just not able to increase the chance of success. Here's a little seedling that looked tiny, that doesn't look healthy, and we would take that one out too. I don't want to have anything in the closed container that has the potential to start a fungal infection, you know? So, yeah, let's take that out. But apart from that, the seedlings look okay. They are very small, but in 2 weeks under the lamp, that will be all right. So yeah, and just want to say hi again to everyone in the stream. If you have any questions, write them in the chat. I'm just taking questions and all that stuff. I don't care. I'm always happy to help. If you're trying this at home and have problems, write it down. I'm happy to assist. That's why I'm here. So let's continue. Yeah, this is another one where the seedlings just came up. Still viable. The seeds were a little bit older. The viability of seeds, where they can stay viable. Viability drops a lot later. Like after 5 years, the viability suddenly goes down tremendously. But in the first years, you can put the seeds aside, save them for later. And I've heard a lot of people that are freezing their seeds, and that is something that you can do, but it needs to be done right. The seeds need to be dry. The seeds shouldn't be in plastic, because in plastic you have humidity that just collects in the bag. But if you have a bunch of seeds that you cannot sow out at the moment, like freezing them would be an option. A lot of the seed banks are doing that. You know, they have all these huge walls of seeds that are somewhere in the Antarctic or somewhere where it's really cold, and they put them into like frozen storage. Yeah, and it prevents the seeds from becoming unviable. Okay, so here's another one. This one looks really good. We really have a bunch of very healthy seedlings. I'm very happy with what we're doing here right now. There will be a time, maybe in 5-6 years from now, where I'm showing the results of today's crosses on the channel. And that is the kind of stuff that is really cool. You know, when you're sowing something out on air, on the channel, you are showing it later, again, when it's a little bit bigger. You're basically witnessing the development process of a cactus from seed corn to adulthood to flowering. That is pretty cool, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Hey Dave, I appreciate it. I have a few people who come by every day, and yeah, that's great. I love it. It feels like you're meeting friends that you've known for a while, and I really want to have that kind of vibe in the live stream. Dave writes that he uses the takeaway top method. I mean, takeaway method is something that we started. I mean, people were probably using it already when we were doing it on SAB on the forum, but it's something that really became popular at the time. The takeaway method is inspired by a method called the Fleischer method. Fleischer was a German who started sowing out in glass, in big like mason jars, closed mason jars, and it's pretty much the same thing. It just evolved into takeaway containers. I used to sow out in takeaway containers for half my life, and I only recently started to sow out in the square pots directly because it saves some time. Because when you have them in a takeaway container, it often has no holes, so you would need to drill holes into them later when you put them out, or replant them right away into separate containers like that, to make sure you can put them out. At some point you need to put them into the environment, and when you do it regularly, when you have like a yearly schedule where you sow out and then you bring them out, it helps to already have them in the square pots, but it's not necessary. You just have to replant them later. Someone like writing about microwaving the soil. Yeah, that helps. I mean, you can definitely reduce the problems by microwaving the soil. You avoid that you have some kind of larvae in the soil, or that you have some kind of fungus gnat kind of stuff, infestations. Like I said earlier, it is very hard to fully sterilize a medium. That is something where you would have to put it in an autoclave, in one of these pressurized things, and do it for a very long time. But that's not necessary. If you really want to decrease the risk of having contaminations, boiling water on the soil will work just as well. It's not sterile, but again, even if you have a sterile medium, the moment you put seeds in there, the sterility is over. You just can't microwave the seeds because they would lose their viability. They would probably turn into tiny popcorn. So microwaving them isn't possible. So you're putting a lot of work into having a somewhat sterile soil just to contaminate it with the seeds when you're sowing out. It makes no sense. But pasteurization, hot water goes a long way. It also avoids prevents that you get slugs in the soil, because sometimes you open a bag of soil and there's slugs living there already. It really depends on if there are little holes to let out air, let out humidity, this kind of stuff. So using boiled water gets rid of them, but it's more work. So Dave is describing losing seedlings when they are brought out. So you basically grow them under the lamp, and at some point you just have to start bringing them out into the environment. But at that phase, they are very sensitive. So, and when you put them into direct sunlight, they are often not hardened up enough to take it. In books, they often recommend doing it slowly, carefully adapting them to the new environment. So they would just open the bag a little bit, maybe like halfway, just letting in a little bit of fresh air in the sun. And you always got to make sure, because the sun is so strong, it could also burn the seedlings in the bag with the humidity. But the moment you take them out of humidity, they are even more sensitive. So I recommend slowly adapting them to the new environment. And people often recommend indirect sunlight. Indirect sunlight is, it's just maybe they get light for maybe 2 hours a day, 2 to 4 hours. You always got to look at your grow place, your spot, your greenhouse, and got to look at the sun and where it is the strongest, how the sun moves during the day. And there's in every greenhouse or in every environment, there are spots that where the sun is sometimes there, but only a little bit. And that is often the best for the seedlings. And like I said, also adapting them slowly, making sure that they still have humidity in the first weeks, because adapting these tiny seedlings, they should have a certain size. You know, sometimes people try to bring seedlings into outdoors conditions that are a little bit too small. So sometimes it can really help to keep them indoors a little bit longer, under the lamp a little bit longer. The bigger they are, the more sunlight they can take, especially if you start giving them sunlight from a lamp. A stronger lamp maybe can also help to decrease the losses, because they will just put out more spines. Like I said earlier, when you have seedlings under a strong lamp, they will produce more spines, and these spines are also they are basically just a tool, just something that helps the seedlings to block out the sunlight. They are not only protection against animals, protection against anything that can damage the plant, they are also to shield sunlight. And that makes a lot of sense, you know, because you can really see it. The more sunlight seedlings get, the spinier they get. That is something. So keep them a little bit to a stronger lamp later on, that once you bring them out and you carefully adapt them to the new environment by opening the bag halfway, then you leave it halfway for maybe a couple weeks, then you open it up completely after 2 weeks, leave it like that, just open, and you have to spray them in the first weeks because they are still used to the high humidity. Cactus seedlings need a lot of humidity in the first 6 months, maybe longer, people often underestimate how much humidity seedlings need in the beginning, and you can really decrease the losses by doing it slowly, by giving it time. If you check on the seedlings and you notice that they aren't looking so good, like they are losing substance, take them instantly out of the sun again, or put them in the shade. Sometimes they don't need a lot of sunlight. They will get light from the sides, even if they are under a roof. It's a process that needs time. Like everything, being a cactus breeder also means being patient. And unfortunately, if you do it too fast, you will lose seedlings here and there. It just happens. It happens to everyone. That is why I now keep the seedlings indoors a little bit longer, because it reduces all that kind of risk that you have when you have a seedling of this size. So many things can happen. A slug can take them out, and then you are already in a bad position because you have maybe a few seedlings that made it but have wounds from being halfway eaten, that kind of stuff. So if they are bigger, it is more likely that they survive that. Hope this answers the question. Hope this helps, If not, just post about it again, and we will look at what causes the problem. So yeah, these here just came up to very tiny. You can barely see the seedlings, but they are just a few days old where they came up, and now they are starting to grow. Always takes a little bit of time. Okay, see here, we're almost through the seedlings that we've planted before. Here's a container where there were only 6 seedlings. Sometimes you have crosses that are not that don't have a good viability, can be that the seeds are too old, but also can be that whatever parents you used are not so compatible. Sometimes you have seeds that are unviable due to incompatibility, like from both parents that are involved. Okay, so this is the last one. These are the ones that are sitting in center. I think we really need to do something here. It's just too many seedlings on a small spot, so I'm trying to single some out. It can be a problem if you sow out and you have all seedlings in center, because one lost seedling is enough to lose them all. In high humidity, that's just a problem that can happen. And the moment you have a fungal infection in there, you will have to open it up, or at least try to remove the infection. If the infection can't be removed because it keeps coming back, you need to take them out of the bag, and that is a problem. When they are very young, they just need a lot of humidity early on. So best to avoid that kind of stuff by thinning them out a little bit in the beginning already. I don't do a lot of that, but in this case, it just makes sense because they are too concentrated on one spot. Okay. I'm not sure if you see, but I've spread it out a little bit. The seedlings were all in center. And now we have them located all through the container. And that will be better. Okay, so I believe I want to sow out a little bit more because I just have so many seeds. We will have to sow out all winter. So maybe we're doing a few more. I also want to give the people who live in other time zones to have the chance to come in. I keep having, like, people keep writing me that, you know, the timing is a little bit off. So I try to stay on a little bit longer so everyone has time to join us, you know. But yeah, I will get a little bit more soil and then we will sow out more. Try to do it without having to get up. That would be great. So, and our bag of soil is almost empty now. So we will get new soil soon. And maybe we're getting sowing soil again next time, just so we can compare them. We could see how the seedlings progress in the sowing soil and compare it to how they do in this more organic soil. Last year I've tested different types of soil just to see the difference. I used washed pumice in a particle size of 0.4 to 0.8, something like that, centimeters, and that mix did very poorly compared to the more organic sowing soil. And since then I'm using a more organic approach in general. I believe that mineral soil helps you a lot to decrease problems, but it also is just so fast draining that the seedlings don't grow so fast. There's a higher risk of just them not getting enough water, despite the fact that they are in a closed bag, because the soil sometimes can't take it in. The pumice can store some water, but depending on the particle size, it might not be enough. So all the seedlings that were in the sowing soil last year, they did so great. They looked amazing. And the others, they were a little bit behind. Some even didn't make it long term. Was a little bit mind-blowing, to be honest, because at that point I was still recommending sowing out in a pumice, in a mineral mix. And sowing out in mineral is great, but you need to find the perfect formula. Sometimes you need to add in other minerals, and maybe also a little bit of peat or sowing soil, something that can take in the water a little bit longer, because it takes time, you know. It takes time for the little roots to take the water in. And it's also about availability of nutrients. In some minerals, the nutrients are just not available to the roots the same way. You can very well show that, demonstrate that by just comparing lava and pumice. Lava is just a medium where nutrients, where the stored water and nutrients aren't so available to the seedling compared to pumice. I completely stopped using lava, apart from doing it as a mix-on, as an additive, just to improve the drainage, because that's what it is great at. Improving drainage, reducing the time it takes for the soil to dry. But lava in general, I was so negatively surprised by how poorly the seedlings that were in lava looked, and all the plants that I had in lava in the last 5 years. They all looked bad. They didn't flower. You could really tell when a plant was in lava, because it had so much back. It was so far behind the others. No flowering, often dehydration, and that is that should be a warning sign when you're working with mineral media. It just sometimes it's too fast. People read all these recipes, and they read that a lot of the professionals sow out in mineral medium, but you really have to stick to the recipe often. And the experienced breeders, they have just added things like perlite, things like sowing, so they just add little stuff here and there that improves the soil's ability to hold water. So yeah. Okay, so we're doing 6 more, and then we're moving on. Yeah, but I love it. By the way, it's still Halloween where I live here, you know. It's still spooky season for the whole month. I don't care. I don't care about Christmas this year. I don't want to see Christmas tree. There will be no Christmas tree in my house. It's not that I wouldn't want to celebrate it, but I can't do it this year. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to hear Mariah Carey sing her Christmas songs. I can't take that this year. It's just too much. Okay, so here's a cross with Zizala. Also amazing. When you have so many like good crosses, you need to find a way to grow them. I think we need to sort out the classics in my collection, like First Light. I already sorted some plants out because they are amazing, but it is such a common hybrid, you know, like stuff like First Light, June Noon, a lot of great hybrids, a lot of great flowers and all, but it doesn't, like, I have too many good things that we could grow instead, that are unique, that are original, that nobody has seen before. So we will probably have to save the space for these kinds of things. That is also why I don't have so many known hybrids from the community. I have a few, but only really just a hand, maybe five to 10. Nothing more, because otherwise you waste too much space with the hybrids that from other people, with hybrids that are incredibly common already. I don't want to do that. So yeah, this is a cross between Sisala and a hybrid by Reinhard Liske. Reinhard Liske hybrid from 2011. It's that Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung and Cantora hybrid. Really nice. I need to sow these out. But on the other hand, it's a great feeling to have that kind of quality to sow out. I mean, if you look at Sisala, that is also an amazing hybrid. That is really cool. That you have the ability to, at some point, just focus on raising so many promising hybrids. I'm just happy that everything has grown to that point where you can sow out all this great stuff. It's a luxury problem. Okay. So the father in this cross is RL 2011 2241 KA4. Really nice flower. I've seen that one. From a cross between Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung and Cantora. Okay. We're sowing out a lot in the last weeks. I mean, I'm not sure when the last time was that I've sown out at such a pace. But it's important, It's the future. People who do not sow out, they are just propagating the past. I just love sowing out because it is you never know what you will get. You have such a diversity of seedlings, you have such a diversity of flowers. You are able to show a plant flower for the first time. That is a great feeling. Seeing that a plant that you've grown from seed corn to now is finally flowering, that is a great thing. Okay. Same cross. Sisala crossed with Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung and Cantora. Yeah, and channel is growing. Channel continues to grow. I'm pretty happy about that. The live stream just helps, It just attracts a lot of new visitors, and that is great. I love that. It took me so long to build this channel to something where people enjoyed to go, and I'm just proud of it, I'm just glad that I'm here to see it. Okay, 2241 KA4. Okay. I always just put in enough water to get the soil wet, but not so much that it runs through, that it collects at the bottom. That is something that I really try to avoid, because I don't know what it is, but the constant water in this thing causes problems. It causes fungal infections. They just shouldn't have wet roots all the time. Oh, hey, Robert. Nice to see you. Great that you made it. Yeah, someone who wanted to join us has finally caught the chat, has finally caught the live stream. Yeah, I will be here for maybe another 20 minutes or so. So great to have you. We're just sowing out. We went through all the containers that we've planted in the last weeks, and everything looks great. Our little project is really turning out nicely. Everything was under the plant lamps for maybe a month now, 2 to 4 weeks, and it's fun. I enjoy sowing out. It is something that I always love to do. And when you're a cactus breeder, you never run out of seeds, so it's just something that you have to do. Not only because of the plants, but also because it's fun. Because I really enjoy growing from seeds. And when you're a cactus breeder, I mean, what else can you do in winter, right? I mean, of course, there's some, like you sometimes check on the plants, you reduce the vegetation around the greenhouses and all that, but there's not much going on in winter. So this is something great to do. So now I'm sowing out the last seeds from across with Echinopsis glauca. I just feel like we need to sow them out now because the viability would drop. I had that with this kind of plant before, where I had a few good seeds from it and waited too long and didn't sow them out, and then they weren't coming up anymore with the same health. They came up, but barely making it. So yeah, I want to sow these out now. And I keep stressing it because it has been a problem before. I will really try to keep track of all the seedlings that we are growing indoors now. So yeah, now since yesterday, like we have like a little stalker that keeps like writing angry comments and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, what can you do, right? It's just part of the game. I said that earlier to whoever didn't see it. You cannot do anything without people taking it personally. It just happens. Robert is asking how much temperature difference it makes to bring in a few candles that burn for 7 days, right? In a small greenhouse, I used to use a lot of candles, and in my opinion, it can save a few degrees, not a lot, but 1 or 2 degrees, and that can sometimes make the difference whether the heater kicks in or not. So the candles are, for one, they can maybe push the temperature up a little bit, but not like more than 1-2 degrees. It is more when you, for example, when you have a cold spot in the greenhouse, you can put a candle somewhere near to keep that area safe. Everything that is on the ground, on the floor, because the ground cools down, it loses a lot of heat. So you can put a candle there. It helps, but it's not a lot, you know. People sometimes show these like flower pots where you can put a candle below. In my country, they're called something like an oven, winter oven, frost oven, something like that, and you basically turn a clay pot around, put it on a rod, and below that you can put a candle, much like a candle, save you a few degrees here and there, but it's not something that can replace a heater. It depends on the temperature. If it's just cooling down, a little bit every night, and you have a little bit of frost every night, a candle can make the difference. Also in an unheated greenhouse. But yeah, it's only a few degrees. It's not the miracle solution that a lot of people are portraying it as, but it works. Yeah, storing water and kind of using it as a way to heat the greenhouse, storing like heating water and all that can work. Sure. That is, it basically works like the kind of heaters we have in houses here. The heater that I have works by running through heated water through the system and all that, and that can work. Sure. That can be can work efficiently. It really needs to. It depends on how much heat you lose, how much heat it produces. But that's a great way to do it. Sure. There are all these different ways to get a greenhouse to warm up, and that's the thing. I mean, I used to have these like clay pot ovens with candles below. But I felt like at some point it makes not a big difference between an actual candle that burns for a week or a few days compared to these ovens with clay. But both are able to warm up everything a little bit. Luckily, where I live, we do not have that kind of hard frost anymore, where the frost is so bad that the greenhouse heater needs to run 24/7. We don't have that kind of winter anymore. The last time we had a winter like that was maybe 2007, 2004, something like that. I need to look it up. But we had a really cold winter in the early 2000s and not since then. Yeah, diesel heater, I'm not sure how much they use, how much great alternative to. I seriously considered that kind of stuff, but I'm a little bit it also, you always need to get to buy it, and if you run out, you don't have a way to run it. And at least with the electricity that I'm using, they work reliably most of the time. But I'm really looking at alternatives to heat the greenhouses. For one, with solar, kind of putting a solar panel somewhere, but also with gas, maybe diesel fuel, that kind of stuff could also work very well. With the electricity, I guess it cost me something like $100, $150 over the winter to heat a greenhouse, to heat one greenhouse. So I have 3 greenhouses right now. So it adds up, you are at like $500 easy for the heating for the whole year. So I really gotta find ways to keep the electricity costs down, to keep the heating costs down. And the bigger the greenhouse, the more difficult it is to heat it. That's why I try to build smaller greenhouses. So it can be better to have one huge greenhouse than 3 tiny ones. It always depends on the situation and how you can heat it. Oh my God, I'm getting spam now. I'm getting YouTube spam now, trying to like, I don't know. It has become really bad. Yeah, I mean, with kerosene, I'm not sure how that compares. No idea. Never used it, but could certainly work as well. So yeah, I want to sow these out now. I tried cleaning it up a little bit, but it isn't really getting much cleaner. These are they had a little bit of plant debris left with them, and unfortunately. That is something that is difficult to get out. Might also be sand, the way it looks like. Sometimes you have a little bit of sand stuck to the fruit, and it makes its way into the container. But yeah, we're sowing it out now. So this is the cross Echinopsis glauca, cross with Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung and Cantora. Cross from 24. Okay. All right. So 3 more, and then I'm later today. I considered moving more plants into the house. I still have a lot of plants that I put aside under the roof, but I need to find a place for them. I used to give them away, but this year it was too chaotic. Wasn't doing it this year, but I probably should have had, you know. So this is a Lobivia that I want to sow out. Lobivia hybrid by like with a plant by Utah Schatz. Very good breeder. But I'm not sure long term I might have to stop sowing out so many Lobivia. They are great, but I can't focus so much on them. You know, I can't waste so much space with Lobivia, but the flowers are great. They also look great in the videos. Kami is somewhere upstairs. She was bothered by me talking too loud. But when I'm done with the video, I'll take care of her again. She's just, you can't really make her do anything she doesn't want, you know. It's not that I can like pick her up and take her somewhere. She's pretty, you know, she has a strong will of her own, and I just let her be. I don't want to be like bitten and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Kami is all right, but she's, I don't know, you know, it's just the classic stuff, age and all. I need to constantly get her the kind of food that she wants. I don't know what it is with cats, but there's never I never have the kind of cat food that she likes. Never. No matter what I have. And we bought so much different kinds of cat food just to let her try everything. And she wouldn't even try. She looked at it, didn't like the consistency of it. Nah. And then I have all this cat food that she doesn't want anymore. It's really difficult with cats. I don't know. I underestimated how difficult it is with cats. Like I never had cats in that way, and yeah, I had to get used to a lot. Like, I don't know. There's always the fact that they are vomiting so much. Like a cat, once a week they eat. They clean themselves up and have all this hair that they take in, and then they start vomiting again. I underestimated how often a cat vomits, you know, like just normally. Then they eat grass and all that, and or they lick plastic when they want it. I really had to become a lot more patient to be a cat owner. I'm not sure if I will get another cat, but I love Kami. She's been with us, I don't know since when, but she's getting 17 in April. You know, that's a long time. And she's the only one that is left of the family that we once had, like with Snoopy, with my wife. I mean, my wife is still, you know, she's still alive, but she's not here anymore, you know, and yeah, Kami means a lot to me. It's just, I treat animals as family. I think they're great, you know. Loving, you just have to, they have their own way to show their love. A lot of people don't like cats because they have these strict boundaries, but I really, you just gotta learn to take them the way they are. I love her. I'm really happy that she's still here. That I had the chance to take her out in summer. I spent the whole summer walking around in the garden with her, just doing stuff that she that she enjoys. And yeah, that is really, it's a hard kind of, it's hard, you know. Also, she wants out in the morning, she wants out during the day and in the evening when it's warm. Right now it's starting to get cold and uncomfortable, and she doesn't want that anymore. But in summer, we went out with the first light of the day, and I did it because I know that she will not be here forever, unfortunately. So I wanted to give her a little bit of a good life, you know. I wanted her to have a nice life evening, and it cost me a lot. It was so much work that I invested to just make sure she's all right, you know. Because I don't know, I'm left alone. I'm the only one to do it, because if I'm not doing it, she would have a sad life. I don't want her to sit around at home. And my wife, I mean, she pays for stuff like food, that, you know, these things, but it doesn't replace someone just caring for her, being here, making sure that she's all right, because she is part of our family, and I will not let her down. I will not forget about her. She's part of my life. She will always remain that, even if one day she's no longer here, but she really matters to me, you know. So yeah, and I'm also disappointed that this is just me who does it, you know. I think my wife should do it too, you know, because she's our cat. She always was our cat. But I take it the way it is, you know. Just just sad. That's all, you know. You always think about when you get to know someone, a partner, and in the first years you always believe they will be there forever. But sometimes the animals are there. You know, they are the ones that are loyal, that are support, that have you on your lowest days. And yeah, that stuck out with me. I just wish Snoopy would be here too, but unfortunately, you know, it just was a few pretty bad years. And with Kami, I give her as much time as she can, as I can. Trying my best. And on so many days it's too much for me. On so many days it costs me everything. Because there's not a time she gets up at night and you can hear that she's walking around and wants to eat something, and then you realize, okay, did I give her food? Did I give her enough food that she can that nothing happens during the night while I sleep? And in reality, I'm up all of the time, just because I'm worried she might trip or whatever. I don't know. It's just, I never thought it would be this hard. Honestly, I never thought it would cost so much to, and also like saying goodbye. You know, it's like a slow goodbye when you see someone, like the pet is older, the cat needs love. The cat, she was never so thankful for getting love. For when I come to her to make sure she's all right, she's really thankful and all that, and it makes it very visible for me that I might lose her soon. And yeah, that's tough. And the same is, I have the same with my parents. They are growing up now. They are pretty sick, and I'm at a phase in my life where I feel like, you know, life is so much about loss, about losing people that you love, and that really drags me down a little right now. People you love or animals you love, I don't know. I just don't like it. I'm not doing well with that. Wish things were different. Feels like we are flying through this life. And the older I get, the faster I feel time progresses, time passes. it's a constant flow. Even when I have a moment where everything's all right, it just takes one. You're closing your eyes, you're opening them up again, and then the next day is there where stuff goes on. Someone asked, Robert asks about if it's wise to put in a table in the greenhouse. Definitely. Putting in a table is a good thing because you need to get the plants a little bit off the ground level where the humidity is. The ground level is a lot colder than when you put them up. So putting in a table can make a lot of sense, especially for smaller plants. If you grow columnar cacti, that is of course a problem because the table reduces the space that you have left towards the top. But I would love to get more tables. Long term, I will get me more tables. I'm using right now in my greenhouses, I don't use a lot of tables. For one, because I grow columnar cacti also that just need a lot of space. I don't want to have to cut a plant that just reached the flowering age. So yeah, but tables can be really helpful, especially when you're growing smaller plants, seedlings that are still sensitive, that still have problems with humidity, where you can lose them from fungal infections. That kind of thing can be really, really helpful to have a table or have a good shelf. I'm not against shelves in general, but of course, when you're growing columnar cacti, you also need space because a columnar cactus needs to reach a good 2 meters height to flower, and it makes no sense when you decrease the height that you have available. But overall, I want to buy another table soon, very soon. Okay, so this is also Caesar La, another Caesar La cross that I have here by Uwe. Caesar La is just a great flower. I like it. And in this case, it crosses it with a ruffled father. And since a lot of these Gräser hybrids are self-fertile or have these self-fertile tendencies, they can it can make sense to bring in the ruffles from the side of the father, because if you use them as mother, you will often not get in the color that that you want to bring in. You often just get a copy of the mother. So yeah, this is KA2367 Caesar La crossed with Erfolg SB Cantora. Good cross. Robert is asking at what point the drip water from the ceiling and from the roof panels becomes dangerous in a greenhouse. The answer is instantly, right away. Drip water is always bad in winter. I mean, in summer it doesn't matter so much because you can probably use a little bit of water here and there. But the moment you have cold temperatures and you have drip water, it greatly increases the risk for losing seedlings, greatly. So I just recommend that you try to reduce it, for one, by insulating the windows a little bit better, making sure that no humidity comes in. But also you can influence that by increasing the temperature of the heater. The warmer it gets, the less condensation you have on the windows and on the roof, on the ceiling. We will have to insulate the greenhouse windows again this year to keep the drip water from coming down, because the moment you have cold water, cold temperatures and cold water coming down, it will cause fungal infections. In winter, the plants just can't tolerate humidity as well as in summer. It's just a problem. So yeah, and I once had a discussion with someone who was so surprised that they had condensation in their greenhouse, because they apparently bought a good one, a great kind of greenhouse. But even in a great greenhouse, you still have condensation. You have humidity coming up through the cracks, coming up from the ground, coming from the plants. And you can only completely reduce it by turning the heater up. And at that point, I mean, in my greenhouse, I have the temperatures at maybe 1 degree Celsius, just barely above freezing. But you could go up to maybe 10 degrees Celsius to reduce the humidity. Yes, humidity can be a problem. Yeah, the humidifier can work to take the excessive humidity out, right? I haven't had one in the greenhouse yet, because there's so little space in the greenhouse. I couldn't fit in the thing to reduce the humidity, but it works too. That's a good way to. Also indoors. I mean, if you have problems with growing the seedling in a setting where you don't have fungal infections, reducing the humidity might work. It really depends on how much humidity you have. Okay, so here's some seeds that I want to sow out. These are the last ones now. So if you want to ask something, again, write it down. If not, we're finishing this one up. And yeah, then we're doing another live stream tomorrow. But yeah, I want to say I'm very happy that Robert has made it into the chat. He's been writing for a long time, and I appreciate it. There are a lot of people who watch my videos, who do it on a regular basis since the beginning. Everything has grown a lot, and yeah, I'm still blown away by all the support that I get, and all the support that I got over the years. It feels great to do this right now. There are always situations, like when you have a stalker like that, you always have these problems, but it makes it, these are the moments that make it worth it. That's why I'm still doing it. I haven't been like doing this for money, I mean, of course, a little bit more on the earning side would be great to pay for the hobby, but this is the type of stuff that I'm actually doing it for, by just enjoying to have loyal supporters, loyal subscribers that just enjoy what we do here. Okay, so let's write this label. 2243. This is a cross between AKS 1571 HSK4 and a hybrid by Andreas Wessner called 18A 2000. Both of these parents are great. And these are the last seeds that I had. I've given away so many of them in 22 when this came out. And these are the last ones that I'm now sowing out. Want to make sure that I get some adult plants from them. So yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. We're doing this again tomorrow, same time, or I don't know, maybe a little bit later. It always depends on how fit I am. I might even, if I miss a chat here and there, don't worry. I will do another date for it. I will do one later, or maybe move it towards later today. In the next few weeks, there are always dates when I have to do some work outside, do some gardening work and all that. But I will do another date then. Okay? So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Tomorrow, same time, if you have questions, write them in the comments and we'll reply to them. Thank you, guys. Take care, Robert and Dave and everyone else. Take care.